Greetings, peace and blessings, everyone. Thank you for having me here today with you. I am Reket Aksan Amun of the Nile Valley Temple of Amen. I am also Abaniche Oni Igala of the Igala Kingdom. I want to give honor to the Most High, the Most Highest, the divine feminine and masculine energies of the Netaru. I want to give thanks to those spirits and ancestors for our highest good who are striving to be there for us and assisting us in surviving and sustaining us so that we will also thrive. I also want to give thanks to our 83rd King, Ami Diju, His Royal Majesty Matthew Alaji Apalua Aguchi Akpa II. I also would like to give thanks to our ambassador, His Royal Highness Ayegba Abdullahi Adojo, which is our Eju Ata, for spearheading the reconnection of African people across the world. And giving thanks to our Onu for the Igala Kingdom, USA and beyond, Onu Abba Nazar, and other Gullah Igala leadership members. Giving love to you, my Igala family. I love you dearly. I give thanks today for you, for all that you're going through, the strength that you have. I want to honor you as well. I want to also take time to honor those that are spearheading and assisting as this collective consciousness is actually being raised. The frequency is being raised. This consciousness is increasing, and people are awakening to different things about themselves, how they view the world. And so I have a wonderful message for you today. I want to talk to you about divine birthright, royals, because it's very important that we remember the kings and queens of Africa. In our minds, collectively, we have only considered the European royal descendants as royals on this planet. And we have forgotten about those royals and the divine birthright of people of melanation, the melanation as I call them, the melanation, Pan-Africans, and other countries, because we've had migration. So you're going to find that genetic material all over the world. But for this purpose of this video, we definitely want to stick to the differences and what's happening with the European royal line. Now, we know that we have a imposter emperor set command and enthroned here on this earth and taken by force, because power, they feel, is taken, and they also know that great sacrifices have to be made in order to assert this power. So this power was used, this power of fire. You hear the indigenes speaking of the brothers, the white brothers, and how they had this power of fire. So they've taken this knowledge of this power of fire to create very dangerous chemicals and nuclear weapons and weapons of destruction here. And they've used this fire power to lead a human bondage of mankind. But this slavery is something that has happened and affected generations of people for generations. This bondage was used to acquire and to facilitate a corporation of moving goods. So humans became stock. That's why we have stock market. This is dealing with agriculture and things that they consider to be less than human that can be sold. So it's very important we stick to some of the terms that are used to describe our independence and our freedoms, because technically people of color weren't deemed to be completely human, but more subhuman. And with this categorization, it has led to us being put on a market and used to develop civilizations for people, and mainly the new American civilization that's occurred, and other plantations and refineries and everything that you see that has been built in the new world, whether it was in America or Canada or the islands. There were people that looked like me doing that work. So when we think of this, we want to remind ourselves that we have become this stock and we have been traded. There's a lot of trading and things that happen in the background, dealing with human stock and agriculture. So you see a breakdown of that system occurring, and you're hearing talks of how they're shifting the way the financial system receives money and also dispenses money. So we definitely want to keep an eye on these terms, how they're used interchangeably. Now, this breakdown of this financial system is a part of this emperor, this false emperor that's been ruling us, this world ruling class and order, where they've usurped the power from the kings and lines of kings of tribal people into their own power, and committed themselves to being divine and having rulership, ruling with the scepter and the orb. So this acknowledgement of other kings and lineages on the earth is very important. And also finding out your roots and who you are is very important as well. Now, this king using this fire, when we abuse a power, it consumes us. So there's great alchemical spiritual changes happening around all of us. And we're putting terms on things, like we're calling things evil, good. We want to steer away from that, and not so much look at this as being a racism situation. That term divides us, but there's a colorism situation going on more than it is a racism situation that is occurring right now. And so with this colorism, we have this emperor who is using the powers of fire, gunfire, to kidnap, to demoralize, and commit all of these atrocities, and to program a people to forget their origins. So there's a lot of information that's going to be coming out about mankind's origins, but the message we have today is that we are going to see a liberation like no other from this emperor. Now, the image of this emperor will be the King of England. And so the king that's installed at this moment is actually carrying the torch and the sins of his fathers on his shoulder. So we're going to be seeing a lot of information coming out about some of these atrocities that have occurred, some of the liabilities, and our perception of kings and queens and royalty will shift because their powers are definitely waning. Now, I want you to research Thorny Island, Westminster Abbey, also the King Edward the Confessor, why the Westminster Abbey came into existence, why does this King Edward the Confessor actually lie there near the high altar. Like, we really need to understand what's been happening in front of us. But this situation, this system, is showing how they're using these bones to keep this power and this authority going, because that's basically where a lot of this started, and a lot of these charters began to happen to usurp power and have a world dominion. And King Edward the Confessor actually developed the first cruciform Church of England. How religion was a great instrument in this human stock trading, this slavery that occurred. All of this is together. And there is a holy mountain called Mount Athos I want you to research. Look at its connection to what's happening with the conflicts that we're currently having right now. We're having a conflict that has a direct connection to Mount Athos, which is this holy mountain. So Mount Athos also has a connection to some of the things that happened with the regime that we're familiar with in Germany. And actually, the dictator of that regime was named the High Protector of this holy mountain. Now, see, a lot of the techniques that are used upon people today to control them are techniques that came from this dictator of this regime. And this was what was used to further commit the heinous atrocities against the people of color here in America. It was also used to confuse them of their culture and to confuse people of their identity. Because we're talking about several migrations of people. But here in America, you are familiar with the Gullah people. And the Gullah people are a combination of people from different migration periods. And I say this very, very carefully because some people are under an impression that, oh, well, I was here before slavery. And it is true, there were many people of color here before slavery. But there were also many that came because of slavery. But these terms that we're using is heavily dividing us. We need to look at the unity and the compassion of all wanting to be free in our hearts, and not so much as focus on, well, did we get here then or later? Are you this person? Are you the children of the Hebrews? The fact is that an atrocity occurred, and an atrocity is occurring in every kingdom and every place of this world. Even this conversation that we're having about, okay, well, I'm not African, I don't have any African blood. I think that there are many variations of our color. Our hue spans a rainbow, and we need to connect on the spectrum of the sun, which give us these rays. That's what connect us. So find the colors within that do connect us, like green for our heart. Let's meet in our heart, and let's no longer be the victims, because we are, as our Onu puts it, we are going through an African redemptive experience. We are redeeming ourselves and we're being set free. We are going through a redemption period. So let's redeem ourselves of the title of constantly being victims to being movers. Let our conversation talk about how we're going to change things, and not so much as who did it and why, because who did it and why is on the record. Now we need to focus on being in alignment with the universe, as it now takes the power from the emperor and give us back our divine birthright of abundance, our divine birthright of freedom and liberties. So that's where we want to come together as a people on this planet. And that's the great thing about us having so much diversity to us as well. So this shift has been increased in its power and efficiency by this last full moon that we just had. And so this last full moon was a pronouncement against the emperor in its religious and its government. All systems are now being dismantled. What does this mean for us? Well, this means, number one, we can expect to see a lot in the news surrounding this king. So definitely pay attention to the shifts of power, because the physical manifestation that what I'm saying is true will happen, and it will happen to Thorny Island, and it will happen to Mount Athos. Whatever pronouncements that the universe have against the emperor for his crimes will also be within fire and sulfur, in which he is exhausted, which has consumed him for his nefarious crimes he's committed using this power. So I pray that this message reaches each and every one of you in divine health, with divine wealth. I pray that you find strength in knowing that there's nothing to be afraid of. There's a scripture that Christians are familiar with there in Revelation 16:13-15 that talks about these frog-like expressions going out. And so these frog-like expressions going out, this gathering of the kings is happening right now. And Revelation, Armageddon is nothing that we should be fearing. This is an end of this control of the emperor that we're seeing. So we've been kind of told that it's bad, that we want to save the world. Basically, they're trying to save this system. But the time is up. When it comes to colorism, no matter where you go on the planet, Black people or people of our color or people of color are definitely going through, they're going through a time of pain, a time of a continuation of demonization. look up some of the terms I've given you and locations so that you too can know about how some of this stuff was orchestrated and facilitated, and why the downfall of this civilization is definitely occurring. There can be no more human bondage. And also, there will be a freeing of dead souls that have been captured, a freeing of the souls, the freeing of the living. The emperor is what we call the imposter. He is the imposter of the Osiris or the Osar. And he rules with this scepter and this orb. But this scepter and this orb is only what he has given to himself to rule and to say that he has these permissions from the universe to commit these atrocities. So no more would this blasphemy occur. The queen has been removed from the board. She is no longer on the board. This game has come to its end. So we thank you for your time. We thank you for just taking time to make personal time to research some of the things that I'm telling you, and understand the sacrifices. The sacrifice was human souls in order to commit this atrocity. So no more would there be a sacrificing of people for power or ego. No more sacrificing of people, taking away their ability to feed themselves, clothe themselves, and house themselves. No longer would there be building of other structures for anyone but for themselves. And for waking up to illumination of our origins and our origin stories, like what really has happened in the last million years. Because the only thing we are aware of kind of collectively as a planet is of the last 13,000 years. But there has been many migrations of humans, and there have been many other worlds that we have gone through different types of cleansing and cataclysms and shifts. So we definitely want to pay attention to this Virginia star, Verginia. Research the Virginia star. And also, if you can, research the Virginia company and how the Virginia company was used, was very instrumental in setting up this mass agriculture that included human stock. See how all of the pieces fall into place with everything. Do your research for sure. So, in conclusion, I want to leave everyone with a peace of mind in knowing that civilizations fall so that new things can come into existence. Land masses are placed and pushed down into the earth's crust so that new land masses can emerge. So there is a shift of energy occurring, and the collective consciousness wishes to survive, and it will not be by means of anything nefarious or anything that will disrupt the natural arrangement of things for humankind. So stay alert, focus on your prayers, your meditation. Definitely commit to research. Definitely commit to taking the time to heal your body through foods. Be more careful of the foods that you're eating. Be careful of the information that you're taking in. There's a lot of information out there, and we know that not all of it is for us. So be very selective, but I'm very proud of the collective consciousness of information that I have seen that people are coming out and they are really expressing themselves naturally about the things that are happening, having natural conversations. No, it's no more time there is for role playing. The game is up, the film is over, and we need to get back to being free human beings and honoring our birthrights. We thank you, we love you. Ojo ki bene, God bless you all.